Hello, this is Rusty, and you're listening to the Railway Series Book Club. Wishing you all dry rails and good running, wherever you are.
I don't know if any of you are particularly familiar about this with this movie that's coming out about this little indie game called Minecraft, but read somewhere recently that they're gonna have a character in that called General Chungus.
I did not hear about that.
And you've just got Jack Black going, that is General Chungus, because he has to say everything he fucking sees.
Yes.
He says everything.
I gotta say,
flint and steel.
it's really considerate of them to write Steve as the character who explains everybody for the grandparents in the audience who are taking their grandchildren to see this movie.
Yeah.
They'll be staring at the screen like, what is that?
Let's be real. If a grandparent is going to see the Minecraft movie, they're probably drunk.
In this country.
No, they're not drunk, they're taking sleeping pills.
I want to go and see it purely because it baffles me so much the direction they've gone with that.
It does. It baffles me too. But like, I don't know if I want to fucking bite the bullet on it. Really, it doing well would mean to the higher ups that it was good, and people want another because this one did very good. It made a lot of money.
You know what doesn't baffle me? Narrow gauge railways.
So true.
That's true.
So true.
Hey.
It's a good thing we're talking about them today on the Railway Series Book Club, the podcast where we talk about the trains.
Indeed it is.
I do like trains.
I don't like trains.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can't really be bothered.
Your Honor, League of Legends.
Anyway, who are we?
Well, I am Jamie, the Queen of Sodor, pronouns she, her. I've been doing a lot of 3D modeling lately. I would like to thank everybody, by the way, for participating in the January-February seasonal depression. That is why we did not fucking do anything for those months. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Right.
I was in the edit, replace all mentions of with the big loud honk audio.
Okay. You may need to provide that wave sound effect.
Yeah, I got you.
That wave file. Is it supposed to be pronounced wave? .wav.
Who fucking says it like WAV?
Me.
I've thought of it like WAV for a while,
Oh.
but just now I've realized, wait, maybe it should be wave.
There's no E on the end.
I know, but
That's true, but it's short for wave.
Yeah, and it,
Yeah,
it
but
makes
also,
sense, 'cause it's sound wave.
we know what GIF is short for, but the person who made it,
The
says
person who made it
otherwise.
fucking died. That bitch doesn't matter. Screw that old bitch.
Yeah, GIF is one of the few pronunciations where, okay, I'm willing to ignore what it's supposed to be because,
Well,
I
it's supposed to
fucking
be
hate peanut
graphics
butter.
interchangeable format.
Yes, but the person who made it said it's pronounced GIF.
I know. That's why I was
Yeah,
saying
exactly.
I don't care what he thinks. And it's one of the few things where I'm not going to be a diehard about the pronunciation. Because I'm fucking anal about that shit, usually. But,
Yeah, I know, Mrs. Fokker.
Meet the Farkers.
He says Farquhar in the audio.
I know, but it's in the Mavis book audiobook by Willie Rushton, and he would
someone do an edit
Audrey
Yeah,
had...
but Willie
of the
Rushton.
poster?
Willie Rushton's not the Mr. Man.
I know, but
He's
but
not
Audrey
one of the
was in
Mr.
room
Men.
for that and telling you what voices to do, right?
I don't think so.
Surely there's a little bit of oversight that was had over this.
I doubt he'd be at the recording.
I guess it's true. Farker's mostly just like a fucking, like, that's mostly just me fucking with people because I think it's funny. It's not like saying Pokemon names wrong, where I'll want to kill you. Like people saying fucking Arceus and Rayquaza, when they, could just watch any given episode of the anime and be like, oh, that's not how you say that. Okay, I will change my ways. No, they insist on being wrong forever, and Anyway, Vivian, you should introduce yourself.
I'm pretty sure that there are multiple instances of the anime just straight up pronouncing things wrong.
Well, yeah, in the in the fucking
like,
Kids era, maybe. Not in the TPCI era, where they have fucking corporate suits breathing down their necks. Like, they get every pronunciation right from, like, Sinnoh onward.
I'm pretty sure that there are multiple instances of them
fucking
getting
know.
Zeb Striker wrong.
How do you get something like that wrong?
Yeah, Zeb Strike is fucking easy.
It's two words, Zep and Strike.
I think there were some Zeb Strikers.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, it didn't stick, did
I
it?
suppose that's alright. We didn't finish introductions, by the way.
Yes, we didn't. Vivian, introduce yourself before I throttle you.
I'm Vivian. I'm a ghost. Pronouns she, her. I don't have anything funny to say, so I'll simply say the word penis.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm Andrew Von Chairlord. There's an underscore in there somewhere, except on Blue Sky where there's a hyphen. Pronouns they, them, and I'm almost done with my tea. I think this is the first time I've actually made tea for a recording session since Percy the Small Engine. Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Luke, Explosive Cookie. Pronouns are he, him, and I'm drinking some milk.
Oh my god.
I don't know why that's what I chose, but here we are.
Yeah. And
You're gonna
Yeah.
grow
I'll
up
get
big
my
and strong.
bones ready for the skeleton war.
Your bones will thank you. Exactly.
the Skeleton War, also known as Audrey X5.
Yes, coming to a Talyllyn Railway near you, except it's only in one place. So, it's near me,
Yeah.
and that's what counts.
So I think the fuckboys in this equation would be the Peter Pull and Puff fans.
If they're squaring up at Audrey X, they're not gonna have a good time.
What the fuck was it that Audrey misremembered it as?
Oh god, I can't remember.
Is it Peter Pull and Push?
I think so, yeah, but someone asked, did you write those? And he was quite offended. He was like, no.
No.
I only write cool shit.
I only write good
I
stories.
only write bangers, such as Rock and Roll, the story we are covering in today's episode.
Whee! The funny thing is, when we take Farquhar Branch out sometimes to model railway shows, is like some of the really old people who, like, I say really old people, but some of the older guys, like, you always get the occasional who'll go like, oh, well, I didn't grow up with the Thomas Brooks. I had Sammy the Shunter. And you're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're damaged. You're a damaged person.
Wilbert Audrey is known for only writing bangers and James the Red Engine.
He himself would say that.
He would
No,
say
genuinely,
that.
he is so hard on himself about James the Red Engine. He really doesn't like it.
Yeah,
I don't blame him. It's a
I
bit
will be
shit.
I'll be fair to the Rev and his writing abilities in James the Red Engine. He invented Jeremiah Jobling. So I think on the whole it could have been worse.
I need to save my tea. I need to save my tea for when I feel the urge to do like a bit where I just annoyingly sip it as loudly as possible.
Do we have anything to say about rock and roll before we get into it, or do we just want to get into it?
Yeah.
Do we have any interesting historical factoids, or?
Factoid, the way it's used, is actually a bit of a misnomer, because factoid actually refers to something that isn't true. you'd think that it would just be like a smaller fact, but no, it is actually just about
How do
something
you
that isn't true.
determine a big fact from a small fact in that regard, actually, you know?
I think that depends on the conversation in which you bring it up.
Yeah.
I don't have anything of note to say
Yeah,
before we get into
I
the
mean,
story, but
I like Duncan.
I like Duncan
Yeah,
too. I
love
think this
Duncan.
is
Yeah.
a great story for both Duncan and Rusty. But I feel like everything I have to
This
say
is-
on the matter is something that we would be better getting into as we actually read the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is one of my favorite stories as a kid.
Yeah.
It's another one that I would fucking go back and rewatch constantly.
Yeah.
The TV episode on Thomas and the Special Letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we already went over, like, as for historical context, I think we already went over some of the difficulties with Douglas.
Yes.
Last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we had with the tunnel, just bouncy boy still is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Doing the 040 dance.
Yeah, that kind of tends to be a thing with engines that have really, like, compact wheelbases like that.
Especially with the amount of overhang.
Yeah. It's the 040 dance.
Well, I mean, you say about 040, but Dolgox and 040, and that she's stable.
Yeah, but she's got like she's got a very wide wheelbase. You know, it's
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's the
she's-
short 040.
she's a statistical outlier and should not be counted. She's like the Spider's Yorg of 040s.
Just, Strasbourg Thomas gets quite bouncy, actually.
and large overhangs.
And that's, that's an 060.
Yeah.
But again, short wheelbase, large overhangs. That's your killer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boing, boing, boing.
That always does it.
When Skarloey's turn came, he was glad to take out the coaches and meet old friends. He met Rusty up the line. You know, he said, if I couldn't see the old places, I'd think I was on a different railway. Rusty laughed. We hoped you would. Mr. Hugh, our foreman, said, Rusty, Skarloey's coming home. Let's mend the track so well that he won't know where he is. And we did, and you didn't, if you take my meaning. Skarloey chuckled away. He liked this hard-working, friendly little engine.
I love we did
Yeah.
and you didn't.
Yeah.
If you take my meaning.
That's a favorite, if you take my meaning.
Skarloey's so right. I also like this hardworking, friendly little engine.
Yeah.
I also like the implication of the illustration that this conversation is shouted as they are approaching each other rapidly.
Yeah.
Well, Rusty would see it. Rusty would be stationary,
yeah, Rusty just stood there because they're on
Waiting.
quarry side.
Yeah.
waiting on the loop. See, no, I always thought this was Glennock because it's a loop.
Huh.
I could be wrong.
Also, Rusty here sporting the face that has been specially made for Audrey X.
Yes, yeah, that was the inspiration that we decided on when we wanted to do the Rusty face. Because we always try and make them based on something. And you can flash this wonderful photo up to lovely people if you wish.
Yes, I will.
Me.
It's a lovely photo.
This is during the process. So that. And there is also possessed Rusty.
Yes.
For good measure.
He looks more wrinkly here than
It's the shadows, probably.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
help that the paint was still a bit wet, so it's very shiny, whereas it mats down quite nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to see Rusty for the event this year with the
Yeah,
non-binary
I'm so
lining.
excited to see Rusty.
Yes, as I'd say, you've seen the new lining.
Yeah,
Silver and purple.
Yeah.
That's very
Good
nice.
look.
Very nice.
Yeah.
looks very good.
Actually working as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
She has been fixed. Midland has
Yay.
been fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Rusty's dialogue on this page, if I couldn't see the old places, I'd think I was on a different railway, is probably one of my favorite ever lines. Like, and like the follow-up about mending the track so well, you won't know where he is. Like, it's, like, that's just really good. This is really good dialogue on
Yeah.
this page.
Well,
Yeah.
I love it. as a thing because it's from an engine's perspective. That is, the surroundings are there, and obviously they probably very much love them. But also the track is how they communicate with the railway, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, they will know every single bump, every single groove, as we do at the minute on the railway. Like, there's certain bits where you're like, oh, I know where this is, bunk, yeah, there we go. You know, you get so used to the railway, day in, day out, and when a section is relayed, you can feel it. You're like, oh, that's very smooth, that's very nice, you know. Yeah. So for Scarlori to have been away for so long, and the last time Scarlori ran, the track being absolutely fucked, to come back to effectively how the railway would have been in the 1860s when it was laid. Probably better, actually.
Yeah.
Because the track laying, we won't get into how they connected rails together, was that there weren't even fish plates originally. So it's on the TR, basically to connect two bits of rail together, there was what was called a joining chair, and it was the chair that, you know, drills into the sleeper and holds the rail to the sleeper. Just a slightly bigger one, and you put two ends of the rail in, and there was nothing holding the rail together.
So it's like a big fucking track pin, basically.
Not even a track pin; it just holds it in. But yeah, anyway.
No, I mean track pin in like the model railway context.
Like a little nail that just bolts the track down to the tip.
Because you know how you have fish plates between rails usually to connect them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of that, it's what connects the rail to the sleeper also connects the two rails together. Which is not
okay.
Not good.
I don't want to be mean, but it is genuinely a miracle that neither of the engines exploded before the preservationists came along.
Oh, it's fucking close, probably.
Yeah.
One of my favourite stories with the Boilerman testing Dorgoch, I think very early preservation, was they did the test and they were like, yes, the boiler thickness is okay, and apparently if they'd done it just to the left, it would have failed because it was like paper. And it had wasted away around where they tested. So, yeah, no, that is fun. It probably got quite close a few times. I mean, there's a story where Dorgoch derailed, and this is when Talyllyn was basically out of use. And they patched up the firebox that was leaking horribly with oatmeal.
Oh god!
I made very, very thick oatmeal that set very hard to fill in the holes in the firebox, and took her up to rescue it. Apparently it just smelled like a very nice, warm, oatmeal-y smell as they went up to go rescue Dorgoch.
Well, at the very least, if it did explode, all they'd know is they were smelling some very nice oatmeal, and then they'd be dead.
Yeah.
It's a bit like smelling breakfast before having a stroke, isn't it?
It is a miracle the TR lasted as long as it did.
Yeah. Also important on this page, Mr. Hugh mentioned.
Yeah, I love Mr. Hugh.
You know, fictionalized equivalent to L.T.C. Rolt, author of Railway Adventures, and very important man in Talyllyn Railway history.
Not just Roll.
Oh, not just Rolt, but, you know.
Mr. Hugh...
More John Bate.
Mr. Hugh is like an amalgamation of Tom Rolt, John Bate, who was... obviously, Tom Rolt was one of the founding members of the Preservation Society, for people who don't know. John Bates basically kept the Talyllyn running from the 1950s, and he was chief mechanical engineer, I think, from 1963 all the way through to like sometime in the 1990s.
He made Toby, right?
Yeah, he built Toby.
I love Toby.
And he designed the bogies on the carriages or variations on them. So much. The man is an engineering, just like miracle when it comes to the railway. Like, just yeah, mental how much she did. So Mr. Hughes definitely very much based on John.
Yeah.
But also some of the Jones family, who like we're on like 6 generations now. They worked for the railway pre-preservation and still do now. And the current generation are both volunteers, and the dad is one of the fitters in the works. But his dad and uncle worked for the railway, Di and Hugh, and I have a feeling that Hugh Jones was one of, I think David Jones, who's the like current employee of the Jones family, his uncle Hugh Jones, I'm pretty sure is the base for Mr. Hugh, or that's at least what David said.
Okay.
Or it could have been Hugh Jones, his grandfather, because there's a lot of similar names going around. But yeah, no. So yeah, Mr. Hugh's an interesting one because it's a lot of Talyllyn people kind of rolled into one. Whereas like Sir Handel Brown is very obviously Sir Hayden Jones, at least the original Sir Handel Brown, and Mr. Peter Sam is Edward Thomas.
Yeah.
It's that interesting thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's fun. Oh no, I'm going on a tangent here because when it comes to people,
I'm having a very good time listening. So
I'm going to go on a tangent. It's nothing to do with the story at all, but it's one that I realised like recently-ish, within the last like year or two.
Yeah.
Seamus Tebrock, who built the incline down from Skarloey Village, from Skarloey Station to Skarloey Village, and I think helped build like the spa town of Skarloey as it is now. Seamus Tebrock.
Yeah.
I'd never noticed that that's a play on something. There was a chap in Towyn from Birmingham, came to Towyn and kind of wanted to turn it into a really popular seaside town type thing, like Aberdyfi and Barmouth, which are close by, like big tourist spots.
Yeah.
So Towyn for a part in kind of this period, he even renamed it to Towyn on Sea, stuff like that. But you'll find around Towyn and stuff a lot of places called like the Corbett Arms. There's the Corbett Hotel. You know, there's things like Corbett Street. Corbett is a name you'll see around a lot.
Yeah.
Seamus Tebrock. What's Tebrock backwards? Fucking Corbett. And yeah, that hit me like a brick about a year and a half ago.
That's pretty good.
And it's little things like that you won't ever realise until you start digging into the history of the TR and surrounding area. Because Corbett's got nothing to do with the TR, but does have a lot to do with Towyn, and is mentioned in the start of Railway Adventure. Because Tom Rolt gives a bit of a history about a brief history about the area and stuff, and Corbett's mentioned in there. But yeah, it's silly, it's stupid, and I love the Reverend for just going, yes, I'm going to put that in.
It'll be really funny.
It's like in the Island of Sodor again. This hit me like a brick when I was driving around the area. I was driving to Corris, the Corris Railway, Corris Station, and it told me on Google Maps, it told me to turn down the street to go there. I was like, oh well, I know where I was driving to. I knew what street to turn down, but I always like having Google Maps on purely just so I can see what time I'm going to get there and stuff. It's just handy. But it said turn down this street, and I was like, oh my god, Wilbert. I think that I actually said that out loud, because not long ago I've been reading up on the mid-sodor, and obviously they had Alsborough. They had an Alsborough station. There was Alsborough Harbour station, and then there was the one in the town, and it was described as having like an all-over wooden canopy and stuff. And I was like, wow, this sounds like Corris Station on steroids. And that station is called Alsborough Bridge Street. The road
Yeah.
that Google Maps told me to turn down to get to Corrie Station was Bridge Street.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh.
Yeah. And again, that's just one of those things that you don't clock until you're here.
This is going to really fuck with Luke in a few decades.
Yeah, specifically me and no one else.
LOL.
But
He's got. So Wilbert's got his big Farker orb
Yeah.
that he's got.
he's just looking down disapprovingly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Luke's going to find this out soon. What a shame. And then he fucking like drops the orb on the spare person.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, anyway.
I don't know
Yeah,
if Wilbert swore, but...
probably under his breath. Well, he definitely wrote blankety blank blank mess. That was him. But yeah, I think that's when it comes to like links to ties. I think I'm done on my tangent now. That's what I wanted to get out.
Well, it's a good tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I got down on my notes that hasn't really already been said. My thoughts are not new. I like things. I like the things that are happening.
Me too.
I like the Rusty if you take my meaning face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little sad that they kind of just sort of scrubbed Mr. Hugh out of the show.
Yeah.
They scrubbed Mr. Hugh
honest.
and the Finn controller, and it makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a shame because I can kind of get why they would, given like how limited the kind of human models were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's the problem with doing them all in one go, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said that, it's they were just adapting stories, and they were like, well, if we're doing the narrow gauge, we'll do all of them, and it makes sense production wise, but especially with the way they're ordered in the season, in the series, it you lose any sense of time and
Yeah.
pacing with them, and it's really detrimental. It's why, like, I think Renius, or in this case Rheneas, gets a bit of bad rap in the TV because it's like he's always talked about and then he's just there, whereas like in the books, like you are waiting.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
I think that's why I ended up liking the Skarloey so much. Once I read the stories, because I didn't have the fucking episodes as a kid. So when I read the actual stories in the book, I was like, oh, these guys are cool. Meanwhile, if I just watched the TV versions, I would have been like, oh, okay, those are some episodes.
Yeah, there's always a sense each time you come back to the Skarloey Railway after a few years, something's new, something's changed. And you definitely lose that in the TV show, and that's no fault of their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did
But
the best
also,
they could.
yeah, but also you could have still adapted it as a chunk, and it done this, but the way it ended up, I'll always love them. Like, I'll always love the TV adaptations because they are childhood.
Yeah.
But if I'm going like, oh, well, I'd actually not do it this way, but
If that were
Don't-
me, I would do it differently.
don't we all? Everyone
Yeah.
does that.
Everyone does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think losing like Mr. Hugh, Mr. Peter Sam, even to handle Brown as the owner, like it's all under that controller. It's like you lose some of that character of the Skarloey. I think, like even just
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's tiny. Same with not having, like Agnes, Ruth, Jemima, Lucy, Beatrice, Cora, Gertrude Miller. Less Gertrude Millicent. Less Gertrude Millicent. I say that as if they get any more than Cora does, because Cora
but
doesn't
Cora's
speak. Yeah, Cora doesn't speak, but she does appear like more than just being mentioned once. She gets mentioned twice.
You get to see her face in one illustration, and that's more than they
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, she's in this illustration we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
She is, yeah, at the back of Rusty's train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess like we're talking about like the way they kind of messed stuff up with the adaptations. Andrew and Jamie know this, but basically, I accidentally infected a friend with Thomas brain rot
Nice.
recently.
Oh yes.
So, I met a person. I started talking to them, and she decided to watch the entirety of the classic series.
Nice.
So she finished season 4, and she ended up being really upset that she got really invested in Duke at the very beginning, and then he just fell off the face of the fucking earth because of the way they adapted things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why would you put those episodes first?
Yeah.
So, I had to explain, Duke's meant to be the very last stories, not the very first ones.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of problems with the Skarloey episodes, but I also love them with every fiber of my heart.
Yeah.
Also, I would say I'm sorry if I imagined that anybody would be upset at me about this, but, the TV series did also give me my preferred colors for the Skarloey engines.
Like what you like.
Yeah.
We're all gonna end up bald and dead.
They're like halfway my preferred colors. There's I like orange Rusty and yellow Duncan. And blue and green Peter Sammons are handled. Those are from the book, so I don't know if I give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
Skarloey, it looks fine. I just wish that Skarloey and Rheneas had the same colors in the show.
Yeah. No, this is
Yeah,
the
that
thing.
would-
If it was up to me, Skarloey and Rheneas would have the Railway series, red and blue,
Yeah.
and then everybody else would have the TV series colors.
Yeah, that would be my preferred arrangement as well.
I think maybe if I were to do it differently, I would probably give Rheneas the TV Skarloey lining, the white lining, just because,
That would also be nice.
just to make them a tiny bit more distinct from each other.
Yeah. I also definitely think that Rheneas being orange is a mistake, because if anything, he should be Orpal, because Rusty's already orange.
It should be pink.
True!
There's still one bad bit, said Rusty anxiously that evening. It's just before the first station. We hadn't time. Never mind, said Skarloey. It's much better now than it was. Maybe better, but it's not good, replied Rusty. An engine might come off there. Peter Salmon's a hand will take care, and so do you. But I'm worried about Duncan. He will do rock and roll. I shouldn't like his passengers hurt. What's that about me? I'm a plane engine and believe in plain speaking. Speak up and stop whispering in corners.
I love Rusty being invited into Skarloey's little house.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
really cute.
They can chill together in the barn.
You can see Duncan through the window, and it's
Yes.
oh yeah, of course, to be able to hear them fucking talking shit right
Yeah,
outside.
he's so ominous there.
I like
it's so goddamn funny.
little details of cracks in the windows as well.
Yeah.
And the panes of glass.
Yeah.
No, I love how in talking about Rusty coming into the little Skarloey shed. I do love how in Sodor the Reb just says no, that is Skarloey and Rusty's shed. They share it.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that, actually.
I love that too. That's so good. I also really love Rusty being a little perfectionist here. That's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, here we are. It says, by 1961, the rather ramshackle ex-goods shed which Skarloey and Rusty occupied had been repaired and closed in.
I hope they gave them nice little windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, as for perfectionist Rusty, I think that's a really, really interesting aspect of their character that I think ends up getting glossed over quite a lot,
Yeah.
especially in the show.
I think so too.
I don't know, it just gives them so much more depth than just being a friendly, plucking, hardworking little diesel.
It's very typical of people who do trap work. I find it's
Yeah.
they want it spot on. They're doing it, so they'll do it bloody right.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
I would say Rusty is one of the best characters, but then I could say that about all of the Scarlowy engines.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'd be wrong about any of them, really.
They're all absolutely delightful, and also Ivo Hugh.
Well,
I
I mean,
forgot about that guy.
it's a shame with Ivo Hugh that he gets a whole book named after him and then just isn't in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, genuinely, why wasn't that the first story? And then you have 3 stories about the new little engine.
Yeah, the story he's in, I think it's more about like Scarlowy fucking about with some pigs than like the actual ceremony.
Here's a little. We had, I think at the first Audrey, might have been the second. We had the illustration of Scarlowy and the pigs, or like Scarlowy's driver like holding a pig.
Yes,
and that was,
yes, I remember.
That was purely me. I just like, I want the pig. like we were kind of asked like, are there any specific illustrations you'd like? And I was like, pig. And we got the pig.
Good.
I was happy. Don't know about anyone else.
It's just literally just alright. This whole fucking charade of this event's cancelled. I saw the pig.
I just wanted to see the pig illustration in person.
You leave the railway and never go back.
There's genuinely no other reason that was there. Other than I just went, I want to see if we can get the pig.
Damn.
An intricately engineered social experiment.
Just for pig.
Machiavellian.
To
in
keep
scale.
up the facade, we've had to keep going, you know.
Yeah.
I will say on the topic of Ivo, can very much recommend the Max Terry 55 Stepney videos about him. They're very good.
Yeah.
I need to watch the rest of those. I only saw the first half.
They're very good.
It's lovely stuff.
There's, I think a lot about something in the last one. I don't necessarily want to spoil it if you don't want me to, but
Don't spoil it then.
I will not.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
After you've watched
I might
it,
go watch
message
those
me and I'll
after,
tell you what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I'll probably go watch them after we're done recording.
Hell yeah.
I don't have much else to say about this page.
Yeah, this is a
we
pretty
went over
simple
both
page.
the bullet points that I had.
I mean I've got a few like is that it's mostly just about the picture. It's fucking Scarlowy's like monkey ass face and like the just the fact that Duncan is right fucking there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't talk shit within earshot.
Yeah. Like as much as an asshole as Duncan's going to be in this story, I do kind of get being annoyed about Rusty talking shit about you when you're like just over in the other room, you know.
The thing that makes Duncan's assholery distinct from the other engines is that he's an asshole with principles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very particularly scrupled asshole.
Yeah.
Duncan is probably my favorite of the Scarlowy engines. Like, probably tied with Peter Sam. I absolutely love Duncan.
I think Duncan just is my favorite. Just straight up. No ties. I mean, Sir Handel comes pretty close second. Then Peter Sam, then the rest.
It's either him or Rusty for me.
I love Duncan. He was my favorite as a kid. He's still my favorite now.
He's a funny guy.
I got so excited about Duncan coming back in the show.
And then his episodes were fantastic, and then he disappeared forever.
And then he got canceled by Bach.
I mean... Did I do that? You know, I'll tell you what. The dialogue on the previous page is quite good, right? But maybe better, but it's not good, has just made its way into my regular vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like, I've just been quoting that for fucking years.
Yeah.
And I was listening to, I only did my homework twice over today, and I only listened to Russian and Angelus, because that's all I felt like doing, really. And Angelus reads it so grimly. It floored me a little bit when I heard it.
Yeah. Like,
Also, he doesn't give Duncan an accent, which is
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a little interesting, but then it makes sense because, he doesn't really have it in the prose.
And he gets the accent a little later, though, doesn't he?
Does he?
Like, I distinctly remember, like, Duncan feels more Scottish in later Angelus appearances than he does in this one.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, in the show, he's Scottish from the first, and that's probably because that's what Rushton did.
Yeah.
Or like, the fact file was like, okay, Duncan was built in Scotland. Go nuts.
Which, admittedly, I'm so happy that became the unanimously agreed accent for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how everybody unanimously agrees that Murdoch is Scottish.
Yeah.
Next to season 12.
I think that's good.
Was that only a season 12 thing?
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's in that Emily episode that they give Murdoch a Scottish accent.
Yeah, it's the episode where she's excellent and, like, falls into a sinkhole of shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Duck's in it.
Duck's in it. And Bulgy.
And Trevor.
And Trevor and Jeremy. I'm pretty sure.
Gives
Jeremy
a
the Jet's
fuck
in that
about
episode.
Jeremy.
Like, it's an all-star cast in that episode.
Jeremy the Jet.
I watched some of the first Jeremy episode relatively recently.
Oh, God.
Because there's so much of the hit model series I've not seen. I just about remember Jeremy, but God, shit got dire.
Yeah.
Even even some of the Sodor episodes during Big World were better than that, I think.
Yeah.
Though that might be controversial.
I don't think it is. There's some episodes in Sodor in Big World that people agree are good. Most of the Michael White ones people agree are good.
Holding my tongue.
Well, yeah, because you have bad taste.
Luke, here's a question. In your expert opinion, what do you think of Whiff?
It's just his whistle.
I just cut from that to the next page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rusty told Duncan about the bad bit of line and warned him to be careful. Huh, he grunted. I know my way about, thank you. I don't need smelly diesels to tell me what to do. Rusty looked hurt. Never mind, said Scarlowy. You've done your best. He said no more, but he thought a great deal. Next morning, Rusty left Duncan to find his own coaches. Duncan snorted and banged about the yard, then clattered crossly to the station.
Pretty simple page.
Pretty simple page. Oh good, here's the first time where we have to actually interface with and talk about race relations between steam locomotives and diesel locomotives.
Yay!
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 So I've a whole fucking paragraph written down. So this is the first time we see a steam engine be a real diesel hater. And this will become a trend in later books, but unlike in those other instances where it's brought on by socio-political locomotive happenings, Duncan basically just thinks Rusty sucks just because. So he's just a racist. And I think this is the one and only time in the books. That's a big asterisk I want over all the stuff we talk about in this episode. In terms of the books, TV series, whole other bag of worms. This is the only time in the books where steam diesel stuff maps onto a race dynamic in which diesels are the minority being discriminated against. Because of the aforementioned socio-political locomotive happenings, most of the other time this topic comes up, diesels are definitely not the minority class. I think more or less the only time it does come up in a way where I'm well, a steam train is just a racist asshole, is the fucking real engines shit in Little West.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that...
Yeah.
Little bit too much bias creeping in there.
Yeah. I can understand why people assume diesels are the minorities given the influence of the TV shows editions, and also, just the way Audrey writes about them in general. We'll get to that later. But, In basically every book from Stepney onwards, in the text and world as presented in the books, diesels are a class of systemic oppressors, and even if they can be dicks about it, the steam engines are at least a little bit justified in their wariness towards them. This story is one of the few times in dealing with the topic where it isn't the case. Like, we don't know why Duncan feels this way about diesel engines, but it can be pretty easily assumed that, just like with real-world racism, he's just an asshole who doesn't like that there are different people.
I think it probably just happened as well, like, that, you know, Rusty was chatting shit. So he went, okay, I hate you now. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Where's my excuse?
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing with Duncan, is he just likes to have things to bitch about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rusty happened to be the subject matter.
Yeah.
So he decided to be racist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's gonna learn in this story that ain't cool.
That ain't... Kids, there's nothing less cool than being racist.
Yeah.
You know, Kenny draws Duncan really well here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking immaculate.
It's a really
Such a
good
beautiful
Duncan.
portrait of him being just pissed off. Like, just the action behind his steam blowing off there as well. Like, through the chimney, the whistle.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Those two guys in the
Spectacular
yard
stuff.
are just like, oh,
It's in one of his tempers.
this train's in for trouble.
Can't keep him quiet today, eh, Jim? Well...
He's in a bit of a mood.
Six is one of those locos that, like, even like without the Duncan connection, people have said she'll blow off if you look at her funny. And there's like a genuine thing. I'd been cleaner on Douglas. And got a third man trip, and we polished that engine within an inch of its fucking life. It was spotless.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took up the line, it steamed beautifully. I think I got to do a bit of firing. Steamed beautifully. The next day, there was no cleaners on, and the fireman wasn't able to give it a proper good clean. So she was quite smutty from like all the dirt from the day before and more dirt, and he was just going, just going like, it won't steam. Like, it was putting up a fight, wasn't making steam, and I was just going like, yeah, it was spotless yesterday, and it's very dirty today. She did not want to steam.
Passengers get ices,
Yeah,
but,
Yeah.
well...
It's still polish.
I'm not even polished. Fuck this.
God, I'm so excited for what we get to Nancy.
I really like, by the way, the implication that, like... So, Rusty was, like, just speaking at, like, normal, like, fucking average person talking volume when they were speaking with Skarloey, right?
Just having a normal-ass conversation.
Yeah. I'm imagining Rusty just, like, trying to project their voice a bit to explain to Duncan about the bad bit of line. And
just yelling.
And that's just really funny. Yeah, like yelling through a fucking brick wall.
They're yelling through a brick wall to a brick wall.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, some would think on a dramatic side of things that like Duncan might like reverse out of the shed to like hit back at Rusty for chatting shit about him. But no, I think it is much funnier to have like that conversation while Duncan is literally just facing away from both of them.
Yeah.
And bro's just hollering.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good.
You know those pipes they have in ships to like yell orders up and down from different decks? They should just have those built into the engine shed so the engines can yell into pipes and make sure they can always hear each other.
Yeah.
No, don't need them. Enough cracks in the window for it. Also, something else that's a very iconic line in my mind is that he said no more, but he thought a great deal. That's very
I love the way kind of you get a real feel for just how Duncan is in this, in the text. You know, he snorted and banged about the yard.
Yeah.
And he clattered crossly to the station. You know, you just get that. The noises are playing in my head.
Yeah.
It's all the noises you don't want to hear.
It's very dynamic text.
But it so easily gets across what just a normal operation is at the railway, but like so through the lens of Duncan.
Yeah. It really like adds a lot more punch to it.
I also do like that Rusty just leaves Duncan to find his own coaches this morning. Like, and you know, Rusty's perfectly justified leaving Duncan to do that by himself after last night, I think.
Yeah. Just alright, fuck you angle.
Yeah.
I love Rusty.
I love Rusty too.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Rusty's so cool.
Awesome little diesel.
Yeah. I love it when they have the construction cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cement mixer.
I love I love in the show, I love Rusty's little crane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That'd be something that'd be awesome to have in Bachman, I think.
Oh, I would be so happy if they made Rusty's little crane.
Yeah, everybody like fucking get on social media right now. Get on Thomas Tuesday. Go on Thomas Tuesday and tell Matt Stern that they should make the Scarlet Railway breakdown crane.
Yeah. Actually, that's a question, maybe. Luke, how often do derailments even happen at the TR?
Given I'm having to think, not very often at all.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, really just not very often. We are safe. We hope. They have happened over the years. I don't think I've ever been around when any have happened. I think I know of like 2 incidents in not even recent-ish memory. This is, good few years, but they're all very human error ones. Nothing to do with like you're just going along and then the track's bad, or something decides to jump off. It's never that kind of thing, and it's never been with. I certainly cannot tell you when anything's happened with like a passenger train, because I don't think it has in a long time. James was there already. "You're late," he snapped. "I know," said Duncan. "It's that smelly diesel's fault. He thinks he can teach me how to stay on the rails, and then goes off and leaves me to find my own coaches." "You poor engine," sympathised James. "I know all about diesels. One crept into our yard and ordered us about. I soon sent him packing." Duncan gazed at him admiringly. He didn't know that James was boastful and sometimes didn't tell the truth.
Oh, good, it's James. Just the
The other
racist
racist
needs to hear from on this exact topic in this exact moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's doing about as much heavy lifting there as fucking Atlas.
Yeah. I know we just went on that whole thing the other page about like, it's rarely ever as simple as a steam train is a racist asshole. The only other time where it's like that I forgot to mention there, it's probably James and the diesel engines as a whole. It's been like 20 years since the end of steam settled down, and at that point, literally everybody else has moved on, except for James. So at that point, he is just racist.
Yeah.
Lost soldier still fighting World War II.
Literally.
Even Donald and Douglas had settled down by then.
Yeah, like
They were the
fucking
ones-
Donald and
yeah.
Douglas. We're like, hey, maybe you should like cool your jets.
They're the ones who could actually, not justifiably, but, you know, like, have a reason.
Like, the ones who reasonably would side-eye, like, you know, any given Diesel, are like, I don't fucking care. Let's move on with your life, man.
Henry's been fucking one since the 70s, who cares?
Fill your funnel, big man.
We big man.
That guy's from Splatoon. That fucked up little manta ray guy.
They never votes for him.
And of course, James, you know, also just being a fucking liar about the last book is really funny.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
he's James, and he's
He's
useless.
so fake.
I
It's incredible, truly incredible how fake he is.
really
I hadn't even clocked that. Yeah, it was literally the last book. That's even
Yeah.
funnier,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
Probably happened like a week ago.
Yeah.
yeah. I was just gonna say this just happened like last week.
And God, I wish that we could get a proper re-adaptation of these books so bad. If only because I feel like doing this today, I think you would want to have like an entire like imagination sequence in which James recounts his version of the story to Duncan. Like, what does that look like? What does a version of events James is constructing look like to Duncan? Like,
I would say James has very
Duck
good.
is
very...
a tragic, hapless victim who cannot speak for himself.
yes.
So James steps in to go, "Oh, hey man, that's not cool."
Now I know.
Oh no, you own me with facts and logic. I must run away.
No.
Times are hard and friends are few. Ta-ra to fucking you.
No.
James the Red Engine has taught me the error of my ways.
I have learned acceptance now.
He's so awesome, and his dick is huge. Nobody should fuck with this guy. Not even me, Devious Diesel.
Mevius, Meevil, what are you doing here?
And then another Diesel showed up, and I took him down too. Duck was crying in the corner.
James is an asshole. Just
Yeah.
stop. Well, that's why we love him.
Yeah.
Oh, what a dope, what a dud.
Yeah. Duncan admiring James is really funny. Like,
You got the dud.
you'd think somebody like Duncan would just think James is a dipshit, but apparently, like, he's like, wow, you're so cool.
Because James is a big
Yeah.
engine. James is a big engine. Mm.
I think that is an underrated aspect to the narrow gauge engines, is that they are so easily awed by the bigger engines.
They do very much look up to the standard gauge engines, be it right or wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Sir Handel, who's just like, oh yes.
Yeah.
I'm better than you.
But
Yes.
I'm better than you, Gordon. But
Hi, I know you. Yeah, I'm better than you.
I am better than you.
Toodles.
I am better than you, Gordon. But you do have an interesting idea.
I think I think you're kind of cooking on that one. I'll just consider
Yes.
that.
Good talk.
I don't feel well.
Good talk,
Just
Big G.
because I am your better does not mean you don't have value.
You're improving, Gordon. No doubt due to my influence, of course, but you mustn't take all the credit.
Oh, I love Sir Handel.
That's for all. That references for like 2 or 3 people who'd actually fucking get it.
Damn, fucked up.
I love Sir Handel so much.
Sir Handel's real good.
This is a beautiful James face. by
It
the way.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's Smug Cat.
He's so fucking puntable.
Yeah, it's such like a, it's such a specific brand of like dismissively smug, that like, it's just so perfect. There's a lot of Kenny's expressions are just that fucking good that like, I think it's hard to like, try and go, Oh, I think I will like design like a TV Thomas the Train face from this picture. It's very hard to do that with a lot of Kenny stuff because his faces are just so expressive and like specific to the angles he draws them at.
Yeah.
It's very like considered.
Yeah.
Kenny is just the fucking best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send him packing. Send him packing, snorted Duncan. He climbed the first hill furiously. Well done, boy, keep it up, encouraged his driver. They were soon near the first station. Duncan was pleased. Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened, he chortled. Silly old diesel. Clever me. And he swaggered along, doing his rock and roll. Steady, boy, his driver tried to check him, but too late. There was a tearing, cracking, crunching sound, and Duncan stopped bumpily. Sleepers and ballast, he exclaimed. I'm off. And he was.
And it was.
I love when certain engines have their own unique way of saying, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, like, Duncan, it's also like he's kind of going, sleepers and ballast is like, that could be the explanation, but also, is he just like going, oh no, I can feel them?
Oh, I see.
You know, it's like
Oh,
This is
those
what
are
I'm
touching my
seeing right
wheels.
now.
Uh-oh.
yeah, I shouldn't be feeling these.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a car crash and go, like, airbag and steering wheel.
Oh no. Tree in the middle of my hood.
Airbags and steering wheels. I have a concussion.
Airbags and steering wheels. My wife's dead.
Staircase and my foot. She's fallen down the stairs. Time to cover it up. Oh Christ.
This is a very
Shovels and body bags. They found the evidence.
Molly McGee episode.
Oh my
fucking-
god, that's right.
Duncan's whole, like, you know, character journey throughout the course of this one page, feels very much like that one fucking Gundam meme where it's like, I am a genius! Oh no!
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, this is a really good illustration, too, where he's just like, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
If only I'd listened to virtually anyone.
It's just the crowd of people getting out to look at what he's fucking done.
Yeah. Dude, the lady in the white top and pink skirt is kind of giving Barbie.
Kinda, yeah. She's really fucking serving, I think.
Yeah.
I like her. I mean, I'm sure that's not what it's supposed to be, but it kind of looks like she has a bit of like an undercut, like the bottom half of her head is shaved, and it's like kind of a like,
Yeah, it does look a little bit like an
Yeah.
undercut, but I don't think that's actually what it would
no.
be.
It was
But
the fucking
There's nothing stopping anyone from interpreting like
yeah.
that.
There's
though.
nobody stopping anybody from like turning that into a rad trains figure.
Yeah.
Wink.
Wink.
You're not subtle.
I don't know why we're winking. I don't think anybody's actually done that, but you know,
Given us a podcast, it's very, very hard to see.
if you're listening to this episode, maybe you should do that. Maybe it's a moral imperative that you bring this into the world, and that it would be awesome.
Be so cool.
It would be so awesome.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just trying to think now. Are there any other like unique to a specific engine engine catchphrases? Because I'm pretty sure Thomas is the only one who says cinders and ashes past a certain point.
Dizzy Diesels.
Oh yeah, that's true. Dart has one.
Toby's got bless my bell.
Bust my bumper.
Bust my bumper. Oh mate, look at your dad.
Be good to your dad, and he'll be good to you.
I haven't actually seen that.
I don't know.
episode, so like,
It's not very good.
I've not seen like any of All Engines Go.
Okay, so
I think it's the only one worth watching out of fucking any of them because it's just funny to look at. It's like watching a car wreck.
So
A fucking burning car wreck and Toby Haydock is there.
Yeah, it's because he fucking plays Toby, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's Toby.
Which is so weird.
So I mentioned that I got one of my friends who was not a Thomas fan to become a Thomas fan, and we hit like she asked me to join for her watching Series 7, and after we had finished, she wanted to see an episode of All Engines Go to see what it was like.
Oh, so sorry.
And so
What one did you put on?
we just put the first episode on.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember you telling me now.
And, you know, we watched it mostly in silence, aside from me groaning. And we got to the end, and I was like, so, you know, I didn't want to be too mean to it in case she enjoyed it. So I was like, I think
So
it's
it was
a
a good
fine...
thing that she didn't.
I think it's a fine kids show. I don't think it's a very good Thomas show. And she said, I don't even think it's a good kids show. Which is, as someone who has no real nostalgia beyond just, like, you know, watched a little bit of Thomas as a kid.
Yeah.
And got into it a bit as an adult. Just like, yeah, this sucks.
Well, that's effectively
It's not a
like,
good show.
My partner, Kira, my girlfriend, like, she remembers Thomas as a kid. The only episode she actually, like, vividly remembers is Toby and the Flood and the Old Bridge.
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And yeah, so like, obviously she knows probably far too much than she wants to know. I say that as if she doesn't care. She very much does. But you know, like even then, with All Engines Go, she's just like, no, what the fuck's this?
I really enjoy how in the TV show, they basically only had, like, one stretch of pre-fucked rails they would use for Duncan's rock and roll effect, which they kept recycling for all of Duncan's scenes in rock and roll. I think that's really funny.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like Duncan's model already does a pretty good job at rock and rolling without the aid of the fucking, kinked up track for the effect.
Yeah, kinda.
But at the same time, it's so goddamn funny in the episode.
Yeah.
The shot of him coming off because he's still smiling while he does it.
Yeah. Fucking dipshit.
It's like Diesel does it again, him pushing the trucks into the sea. And he's still got that dumbass smirk on his face.
He's like, he's happy, and then when he realizes what's happened, he's like, oh no!
He's like, oh! Oh, fuck!
My petard, it's been hoisted.
I warned him, said Rusty crossly. Duncan, I said, you be careful on that bit of line. But all he did was to call me names. Mr. Hugh kept turning Rusty's handle. Come on, he urged, start up. No, Mr. Hugh, sir, I'm sorry to disoblige, but I won't help that Duncan. I'm ashamed of you, Rusty, said Skarloey severely. Think of the passengers. What are they going to do? Oh, said Rusty, I'd forgotten them. I'm sorry, Mr. Hugh, sir. We must help the passengers. And his engine roared into life.
This is a very good Rusty pout.
Yeah.
I'm very sad that the show cut. I'm sorry to disoblige.
Yeah. Like, Rusty's so polite.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, not the first time an engine will be guilted into a rescue operation by thinking about the poor helpless passengers. You know? It's just that we see the first time later because timeline.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. And it was also on the Skarloey.
Yeah.
It's neat seeing Rusty with their side panels open. Like, that's something we never see in the TV show, because it's all, like, one solid unopening sheet of metal on that model. But, like, you know, it's neat.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you'd open it up on, like, the real train.
Yeah, the engine looks pretty close as well.
Yeah.
I love Rusty's little circle window.
I don't know, it's just really cool to me that, like, the mechanics of it are there. Like, you can see the fucking, like, exhaust tubes sort of snaking out from the engine. It's like, wow. It's like, wow. Also,
This is
the discarded
thing.
jacket next to Mr. Hugh and fucking whoever that is.
Oh
fucking
yeah.
Big Sid the Cleaner. It takes 2 guys to like try and like crank Rusty's handle.
Yeah, no, genuinely, a cold start on Midland for a while was quite a task.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
because you're starting the engine from cold with that. But that's what this is. It's a cold start of an engine personified into him refusing to go and help.
Yeah.
And I think that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah.
You know, for those not in the know
really
listening
cool.
to this podcast, some very old combustion engines use a hand crank to start going. And nowadays most things have an automatic like battery powered starter for combustion motors, but since Rusty is a very of the times locomotive designs, they've got to start the old fashioned way.
Midland is still like that.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Still got that. Still
Cranking.
got, still got the handle.
Yeah. I believe when somebody I know sent me a bunch of reference pictures of Midlander when I was modeling Rusty some years back, and those had the actual handle like just on the cab floor, so I modeled
Yeah.
I will say, like, after seeing Rusty in the black at Audrey X, I've grown significantly more fond of rebuilt Midland
Same.
I
Here.
think it
in
looks so
every
good.
regard, except
It's
I have
quite
grown so
slimming.
much more fond of them in every regard, except I still hate the square window. I
Yeah.
miss the circle window.
I
Yeah.
think Midlander looks quite fetching in black.
Yeah, for a long time I really didn't like rebuilt Midlander, but I think it's just that I didn't like it in green. Because now that
Yeah,
it's in the
that's
black,
fair.
I think it looks lovely.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sorry, Midlander. I was very mean to you after your transition, and that wasn't fair of me. You're looking great.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
You're doing great, sweetie. You look fantastic.
Midlander was wonderful. Everybody say thank you, Midlander.
Thank you, Midlander.
Thank you, Midlander.
Midlander.
Thank you, Midlander.
I'm just happy to see it working again
Yeah.
because they got all the
Yeah.
gearbox issues sorted, and it's been up and down the railway. Actually, there was a nice thing the other day where it took 2 of like the Coruscant heritage wagons, and then 6, so Cora,
Yeah.
up to bring glass, and they had like some aggregate in the wagons to be used on like a concreting job, and it's just like I love how that went up as a train with Midlander with 2 heritage wagons and then 6. I'll pop a picture in that you can put up,
Aw, that's fantastic.
Aww.
Ah, yeah.
and it's just it's doing little Midlander Rusty things again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long was it out of traffic?
Oh, about 2.5, coming up 3 years.
Oh.
Jeez. Yeah, because
Because the last time we had it was Audrey 2.
Yeah, Audrey too. With the would that have been the wallpaper paint incident, or was that after?
No,
that was
no, that
free.
was
Yeah,
that was free.
That was okay. Yeah, that makes
She
sense.
was out of use, so it was just like plonk paint. Oh no!
Very, very hopeful.
I was assured that paint would need a good scrub to come off, and that rain wouldn't just take it off. And boy, do I look like a
And
fucking
then-
idiot!
Wow.
Very excited that presumably, obviously anything could happen, and I don't want to say like this is going to happen because I don't have any control over it, but very hopeful that Rusty will be running and doing like something that I can get a ride on at Audrey X this year.
Who knows? Keep an eye out. Tickets might be out sooner than you think.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
True.
Who knows? Maybe not. Things happen. Don't listen to me.
Listen to me instead. I'm always correct.
It'll be really funny. It'll be really funny if this episode comes out after tickets have already started going.
That would be
That
So
would be
good.
very funny. Oh dear, thought Duncan. Oh, everyone will know how silly I am. Presently, Mr. Hugh and Rusty brought sleepers and old rails. Mr. Hugh showed the passengers how to use them, and they soon levered Duncan back to the line. Duncan was extra careful all day. "Rusty," he whispered that night, "thank you for helping. I'm sorry I was rude." "That's all right. I wish all diesels were like you. Let's be friends." "Suits me," smiled Rusty. "We'll mend that bad bit first thing tomorrow."
Yay!
Yay!
Big Dark Souls text on screen. Racism cured.
And they were roommates.
Yeah, and they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
The whole like thing where at the beginning where Duncan talks about being silly. I think of that one like Mulan meme, except instead of like what people have.
Yeah, now all of China knows how silly you are.
Yeah, now all of Sodor knows you're silly.
An interesting thing for me, like looking at the illustration, this is like one of the only Wilbert books.
Yeah.
And the only other one I can really think of it in is Thomas the Tank Engine, where two illustrations are like eerily similar.
Yeah.
Because obviously you go back to when he comes off, it's basically the same, and it makes sense. But like, that's one of my big criticism of some of like Christopher's work, is that he doesn't keep the stories moving.
Yeah.
It's like Deep Freeze. You have got 4 illustrations, I think, all around James's fucking tender, and they all look the same, basically.
Yeah.
But I think the big difference here is you move away from Duncan, and we go back to see Rusty and Skarloey. You move away from that, and then you come back to Duncan, and something's changed. And obviously, like the only other one I can really think of is Thomas the Tank Engine, where you've got him in the station. And then the next one is him going away with no coaches behind. That makes sense. That's a cool flip book thing. Probably not meant to be a flip book thing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it could be done instead if someone's feeling particularly adventurous.
It's interesting when an illustration looking similar doesn't register, is because you've done it successfully. Whereas with like Deep Freeze, it is just like, fucking hell, we're still here.
It is truly impressive how Deep Freeze is terrible in every conceivable way.
Deep Freeze makes me really sad, because the premise of James's tender gets frozen sounds like it could be a good story, and then it's just not.
And then it's literally just railway jargon on like 3 pages.
That's basically just Chris in a nutshell.
And it's a shame, because like,
At least Wilbert works the railway jargon into a pun.
Yeah.
No, it's like the closest Wilbur gets to it, I think, is Super Rescue, and even then, it's like a sentence or two about what an ejector does.
Yeah.
It's really the relationship between the 80 to 90 words on the left page and the illustration on the right page is a very fine balance.
Yeah.
And I don't think Christopher does it as well as he could, because there's a lot of like around Tidmouth, like when you've got like all the engines at Tidmouth, and then like you turn the page and it's like the same illustration just from like a slightly different angle. Yeah, and that's just my thoughts about it's not really actually talking about the book we're even talking about, but it's just an interesting observation that when it does happen in the Revs books, it doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the illustrations in themselves tell their own stories as part of the story to like serve the greater story that is being told. So it's like you said with Deep Freeze, it's like, what the fuck, what are we being told? What are we learning as we look at James's tender from every single fucking angle conceivable?
It just, I'm sure Chris is a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Not a very good writer, in my personal opinion.
I like the Wilbert book.
Yeah. I
like Thomas and the Evil Diesel.
I like Thomas and the Twins as well. That one I think.
I like the name Speed Killer. I think that's a really good story
Yeah.
title. Yes,
Yeah, I wish it was attached to a better story.
Like, I think that's something Chris does well. Is he's pretty good at story titles.
Yeah. I like Smokescreen conceptually.
Yeah?
Like that's a fun, like that's a like the beats of it are quite fun.
Yeah, you know, it's got that Boko and Gordon chat in it, which is a lot of fun.
Well, no, I just mean like Gordon running past the station, spraying ash everywhere, all over a wedding party, and the Fat Controller having to come back to like ease their complaints or whatever, to try and pacify them even, and then getting ashes sprayed all over him.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
I
think that's fun.
I will say I've already mentioned this to at least Andrew and Jamie. I don't know if it's come up in the last 2 episodes, so I don't know if you know, Luke, but I'm gonna bring up the TV series version of the final scene, because so this area here, you know, Rusty's here a lot in series 4.
That's Rusty's lair.
Yeah. In Rusty to the Rescue, they say that the driver came back to the shed, and they show Rusty sitting here. So when I was a kid, I thought that this area was just covered by a really, really tall, wide shed that had no back wall.
Amazing.
And it was so big that it wasn't even in frame.
I mean, honestly, that's not where my brain went when you started telling the story. I thought that you thought Rusty's shed was going to be the like little shack that's right next to them. Like,
No.
like it's Rusty's shed, as in it contains all of Rusty's items. It does not house Rusty himself.
They go in there.
No, it just, you know, you just imagine, right? You just imagine seeing Croven's Gate, and, you know, completely normal town for the most part, a lot of railway lines, and then there's this massive shed that goes like 5 miles into the fucking sky. It's just like, oh, okay, Rusty's in their shed. Where is their shed? It must just be very big.
Speaking of the TV series version, I remember once seeing somebody who didn't know what they were talking about try to like CinemaSins plot hole ding the scene that goes on in this illustration where like because they thought that the levering of Duncan back onto the line was unrealistic when like
What?
that's just how levers yeah, exactly. Like
Someone's
are you stupid?
someone's never watched Railway with a Heart of Gold.
yeah, like this is the thing. Like look, it's a
Actually,
lever.
I don't even need to ask if that person is stupid. They are stupid.
This is just how levers work.
You are stupid.
This is just how levers work. I don't know what the fuck the problem is. You know, that said, in the TV show, they don't show it, like, terribly clearly since, you know, it's the model series, and that'd be hard to film in detail. It's understandable.
I mean, I think they do it pretty alright. I like the way they, like, wobble.
Less understandable is that when they lever Duncan in the episode, he's still derailed once they set him down.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but, you know, that's for the rest. Actually, no, I like Fire Engine.
Fire Engine's pretty good,
That's another Chris story I like.
I enjoyed that story.
I think weirdly that's one I remember quite vividly actually.
Yeah, it's but also, I mean, it's kind of a shame that, like, Henry gets the best story in the book about James.
Yeah. I also like Out of Puff, because it's really funny to me that, like, that Chris Audrey chose to write a story about smokebox doors in a show where the smokebox door just kind of doesn't exist as a necessity of, like, the trains having faces. And it's never once acknowledged how these two realities are supposed to intersect.
The smokebox door just opens.
Yeah.
It just
But we never get to see that.
No.
So we never get to know how the smokebox door opens.
Well,
like, presumably
like
the train
engines.
face just slides off. Like, presumably the train face just hinges out. But since we never see that, it's really funny to me.
It's how real engines work. It opens.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you can't blame Christopher for that. Fuck, Wilbert does it as well. And Duke the Lost Engine talks about Duke having his tubes cleaned when
That
Peter
is
Sam
true.
runs up. So, you know, the implications there. The door was open.
I'm reminded of an idea I had, which was when an engine sneezes, if they sneeze hard enough, the door comes open.
And see, now, I was going to say my favourite headcanon is like the fireman goes up and just squeezes the nose, like, and then it unlocks.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, that I've always had one like
just
that
go up
too.
to-
Just that, like, the dart.
Just it.
It's just like it's slightly different take on it though. Just that like the darts are just inside the nose, and you just got the fireman sticking both hands up each engine.
Yeah,
Oh.
the grim reality is that
Twisting about.
in this universe is as part of like the morning's prep kit that they pick up from the shed stores, they get like these like arm length gloves
Ugh,
so they can go like up the nose and open the dart.
I don't like that.
Yep.
It's
No, genuinely, I think they just kind of go, could you unlock? Could you open your smoke box, please? And they go, okay, clunk.
Yeah, I like to think that there's just you
Yeah.
know, that's just like the one place where there's any like muscle control in a locomotive is just anywhere in the face. So they just like, you know, they just like kind of like, you know, flex and then it unlocks the thing.
But it's not beyond the realms that it was something like that, given the way the Reverend kind of personifies the automatic brakes on the mounted engines.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously,
Yeah.
in reality, they are an automatic brake. He sees it's going through too fast, it puts them on. Whereas the way he writes it in mounted engines is that Cody goes like, oh, I have these, I'll put these on, I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like the automatic brake because it's part of the engine system. They can do that, which I find really interesting. So it's a similar kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
mm.
I also since Andrew posted a picture of Boko in the chat for some reason,
Well, it's because I was just looking through James and the diesel engines.
this reminds me of a tangent where it's like I was you know,
Boko's door.
as it eternally there's like, you know, there's like the whole thing where people like moan about Henrietta getting her face in CGI because it covers up the back door. Like that's unrealistic to have the face in the way of the door. How do the passengers get in if there's only one door? And it's like,
They get in through the other door.
well, yeah, they get
dumbass.
in the other door, but also like that is like probably the least obstructive thing a face can be in the way of, because like Boko's face is like right in front of where a door into the cab is supposed to go. How does that work?
Right, it's corridor connector to the
Yeah,
carriages.
it's a corridor connector.
Yes, corridor connector.
And his face is
Hinges
in the
out.
middle of it. How does anybody access the corridor connectors
Well,
on Boko?
The real answer to that is exactly, you know, it's an answer people don't want to hear because it doesn't make like quote unquote realistic sense, but it does in Audrey's mind because it's like, well, the faces aren't actually there, the real engines. It is Boko, where his face is his front, is the front direction of travel. So the rear corridor connector, which is where the carriages will be, isn't blocked.
Yep.
And
I
then
guess
when
that
he
makes
needs to
sense.
couple going the other way back, the face is now on the other end, so the other end is now free for the corridor to be connected.
Yep.
I-
That's the way I go about it. That's the
The
way I
way
go
that
about
you
it.
reconcile that is just that Boko has the power to swap which end his face is on, and whenever he does, it makes a little pop sound.
So does
And-
Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does
we're not-
Toby, so does
we,
Daisy.
we can have the
And-
we can have the conversation, but so does Toby.
And the mountain engines.
I have more to
I
say
had
about
a-
this page. We talked about a lot of stuff.
I also had stuff.
We talked about a lot of stuff. But I think we need to circle back to the end of this page. Like, you know, hooray for them being friends. I love them. And I think this is a good moment for what I think is one of Duncan's better qualities, which is that when he's realized he's fucked up and wrong, he pretty much immediately owns up and tries to make
He does,
amends.
Yeah.
Like, they do that in the CGI series, too, where, like, when you have the episode they have the Christmas Duncan episode. He knows he fucked up and failed the "don't be an asshole on Christmas" challenge. He goes to talk to the thing controller about, like, yeah, I messed up. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I think that's...
Which is very unlike all the other engines.
Yeah. Like, fucking, you couldn't get the shit out of James,
Never.
Never. That said, we need to go back to Steam and Diesel race relations, because this page displays the other part of the textual puzzle that I mentioned earlier. So I wish all Diesels were like you. Probably sounded a lot better in Audrey's 1958 head as a, gee, I guess I shouldn't be racist line, than it does to us now. But, like, you're one of the good ones is typically not actually a good sentiment. Because, like, in the real world, that's basically just moving the racism goalposts at best.
Yeah.
Like, within the broader context...
Instead of just, demolishing them.
Yeah, like, within the context of the Railway Series world, where, as stated earlier, Diesels are undeniably an oppressor class, it's a more understandable sentiment. It's like wishing all straight people were friendly allies instead of John homophobe. But, like, this fact of the world hasn't actually been established in the stories at this point. And it won't be until Stepney the Bluebell engine. So when Duncan says it's here, it's, hard to read it as anything but a good exception race thing. So I think if there's any kind of point I want to make about any of this, it's that I think there's something to be said about Audrey himself and his own biases creating an unreliable lens that we're viewing the politics of the Railway series through. Because Audrey very loudly loved steam locomotives and very loudly did not love diesel locomotives.
But I imagine he really liked Midlander.
Yeah, I imagine he really liked Midlander, and that's what motivated him to write the story, like, essentially backtracking what happened in Duck and the Diesel engine. Like, okay, I gave these guys a bad rap. I should probably course correct a little bit. But Audrey also, as seen in, incidents such as Henry Sneeze, was racist. It's kind of not hard to see how this view of their dynamic, historically sound as it may be, is kind of colored by this lens. Because he basically, okay, yeah, it is a historically sound dynamic, but also the way he writes it is just, them being racist to each other, because that's what he knows when it comes to, these two different kinds of people are in conflict with each other. I still stand by what I outlined earlier about the steam diesel conflict being airtight, at least in the books. But that, comes from a Watsonian perspective, after, becoming more familiar with Thomas and these books as a whole than, most normal people would, and, the surrounding cultural context of their publication. But I think it is important to point out that basically every minor detail that we'll gripe about from here on out stems from this Doyleist issue that I think Audrey kind of suffered from. Watsonian versus Doyleist, for people not knowing what that is. That Watsonian is reasons to do, reasons within the story, and Doyleist is reasons within the metatext, because it's based on Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock, and Watson, the character in the Sherlock.
Right. Series. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, Watson, the character, Doyle, the author. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I get you.
I don't know. Does anybody else have anything to say about this?
Well, not about the race relations stuff. I just have written. Let's see, where is this? I've written, "Hey Duncan, don't worry about it, man. They already know how silly you are." Also, there's one which just reads that I'm looking forward to Duncan complaining even as he helps mend the line with Rusty.
Yeah.
Open bracket. Is that the implication here? Or does we just refer to Rusty and Mr. Hugh?
I think it's Rusty and Mr. Hugh.
We'll mend that bad bit first thing in the morning, and I'll be helping you. Extremely gentle and polite, but also mildly condescending. No.
What?
And Rusty's doing the "if you take my meaning" face.
I think Duncan should be allowed to help. This is, like it's friendship. Let your you're friends now.
Yeah,
as
it's
a
friendship.
friendly...
Like, it makes sense. Like, yeah, now we're cool now. You wanna help, like, get this, like, ladder out of my garage tomorrow morning? Sure, man. Yeah. Like, and then they completely forget about any dissent having had a nice Pepsi, like the commercial dictates. Jesus fucking Christ.
What do you think, Luke?
What a dog shit acting it was.
No, I just, yeah, it's all fun.
We love the trains.
We love trains.
Yeah.
I enjoy trains.
I'm playing with my train right now.
I'm playing with my mouse, actually. I'm just scrolling. Just going through...
I mean, if that's all we have, do we want to, like, fucking do rankings or whatever?
Yeah?
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
The fucking Game Awards prompter. Please wrap it up!
God. I think... I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the poor wording of that line at the end where Duncan says he won't be racist anymore. But, like, other than that, this is, like, a really good story. Like, Rusty is great especially. Duncan's also great. It's just good. This is, like, a fucking banger. Yeah. I think I would call it a Donald. I'll go with Donald. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say Donald, too. I think Donald's pretty reasonable. This is a really, really good story with some of my favorite characters. I think, very good dialogue, very good narration, good art. No real problems beyond the general racism.
General racism.
I mean, even then, this is a story about how it's bad. So, like, even if he kind of, like... Even if that one line kind of, like, fudges it at the end...
Again, yeah, it's as you were saying, there's
it still sticks to the landing.
You've got the context of the time where it's like, that would be seen as like, great,
It sounded a lot better in his head 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's closer to 70 now, goddamn.
Because there's definitely, actually, this year's 70 years since Four Little Engines.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But, yeah, it is that thing where I think a lot of it comes from ignorance rather than malice with Audrey.
Yeah.
When it comes to the slightly off things. But yeah, a lot of it is ignorance of the time rather than actually genuinely being malicious.
Yeah.
With it. But that's not to justify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing where it's like...
It's not a justification, it's an explanation.
He didn't mean any harm, but that doesn't necessarily mean he didn't do anything wrong.
That doesn't mean that there wasn't any harm at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, overall, really good story. The dynamic between Rusty and Duncan in it, I like how they kind of par off each other as characters. And no, it's just got some really good bits. Rusty's great. Love Rusty. Need more Rusty. But I think, not to say I've broken around, probably, like, definitely a hard duck and definitely a Donald, but definitely more of a Donald.
Yeah. My first, like, strong feeling was Duck. Which was very curious considering this story isn't about him. So
I just thought that was just you talking about being a child. Your first strong feeling about anything was Duck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was he was historically he was my Scrimblow Bimblow from the start. Yes. No, that was Thomas. Thomas was my favorite for such a long time.
That's fair.
I thought that was a bit boring.
Basic bitch.
And then I realized, exactly. I shamed myself for it and then realized that I liked Duck more anyway, so like I didn't even need to shame myself. So it was just one, yeah. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Strong Duck to a light Donald.
Yeah.
Fucking shave my head and fucking call me.
That went well.
Little old thinny engine Tano. Yeah. It's a great story, one of my favorites. Like I said, you know, it has so much action going on, and it's just a perfect fucking strike. Like that's just a my mic may or may not have just picked something up in the background, which
I'll deal with it.
I'll say those things again, just to be prepared for the eventuality.
For the coup of the century.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's got, like, two excellent characters having their first chance in the spotlight, and fucking, you know, what, I mean, I guess, you know, Home at Last is Duncan's first outing, but, like, this is, Duncan and Rusty's first outing. Home at Last is, like, getting a little taste of Duncan, while Rock and Roll is Duncan and Rusty's story.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed them.
Yeah.
My
I
kitty
quite
just
enjoy
did
it.
a little merp.
That is fucking incredible.
I love it when kitties do that.
All right, so I think with me doing that, that's the episode.
Yeah.
Right.
And in the next
Yeah.
episode, we're going to be wrapping up... I was about to say Four Little Engines. No, we're wrapping up the Little Old Engine with a very special episode story, which is the longest ever one.
We'll be telling
and it's also
something.
one they never even considered touching for TV. Ooh, I wonder what that could be.
Which is ironic, because it's got TV.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. I wonder if the BBC's involvement is what killed it.
I don't think they ever. I don't think they mentioned the BBC by name in it.
No.
Yeah, they don't mention the BBC. You just see BBC on the cameras.
Yeah, like even if it was, they could have just like adapted that out. I think it's mostly just because of what it ends with and them not having a good idea for what to do with that. But we'll save that discussion for next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Join the Discord. I forgot to say that earlier. Join
Goodbye.
the Discord.
Join the Discord. Subscribe. Follow on all accounts. All of them. All of them.
Give money to the Talyllyn Railway, please.
Join us.
Join them.
Support the 75 appeal.
Join.
Yay.
Support the
Do it.
75 appeal, and don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Railway Series Book Club YouTube channel.